No, 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 yes. Back in the Guadalupe Mountains National Park. I'm going to do an overnight backpacking trip into the bowl area. Really almost dead center of the park. So starting off on the Tejas Trail. I'll connect with the Frijole Trail, the Bear Canyon Trail, Bowl Trail, and hit the Juniper Trail, which will take me back to the Tejas Trail further up. And then I've got a night reserved in the Tejas campsite. It's about 50 degrees right now and no wind. But the wind's supposed to pick up this afternoon, unfortunately. 20 to 30 with gusts up to 40. And the low is supposed to get down to about 22. Make the wind chill near zero, but supposedly the Tejas campsite is the most protected campsite in the park from wind, so hopefully I won't have to deal with much wind while I'm camped. But I just got started. My trip will be around 11 miles. 6 today and 5 out tomorrow. About a 2,900 foot elevation gain, all of it today. Most of it today. There'll be a little tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to come out the Tejas Trail all the way down. Tejas Trail goes on up. And this is the Frijole Trail. Frijole Trail is just a little connector trail that goes from the Frijole Ranch part of the park over to the Pine Springs headquarters part of the park. Not a lot of elevation gain on this part, so it's a kind of a nice warm-up before you get to the Bear Canyon, which is extremely steep. And if you can see the top of that building there shining, that is the park headquarters. Where I just stopped in and got my permit. And complained about the brand new rules and regulations they have here. But I got some good news on that part from them, or at least potential good news, so we can talk about that later. Well, I figure I'm about halfway across the Frijole Trail. There's a good shot looking down on the headquarters building. And that's where I got my permit. That's also where I'm parked, in the parking lot just behind it. And there's parking at the trailhead, but it feels really fast. There's not a whole lot of parking there. It looks like it's going to be a beautiful day. Hopefully the wind doesn't get as bad as they predicted. It's always kind of hit or miss here. I've been here when it's supposedly no wind and you get blown off the mountain. And I've been here when they predicted 50-mile-an-hour gusts and it was not even breezy, so. But usually they're pretty accurate. Well, I made it to the junction of the Bear Canyon Trail. Right now the Bear Canyon Trail is going to go straight. And it's going to go right up that canyon real narrow, tons of switchbacks, and it peaks out right up there at the top that you can see. So from here to there, it's nothing but climbing. I think it's 1.8 miles from here to the top, and I think it's just shy of 1,800 feet. There's a really good place to take a break up here, maybe another 20 minutes. It's inside a rock shelter, some rock overhang, and when it's hot, you can get in out of the shade, out of the sun into the shade, so it's really nice. We got the warm-up out of the way. Now the serious stuff begins. But again, this has always been one of my favorite trails. I love going up that little canyon. The trail used to be in great shape. It was really steep, but it was a great trail. And then that big flood or big rains they had in here 3 years ago washed this trail out. So it's not near as good a shape as it has been in. Maybe a little harder than we want, but you know, it is what it is. The wind's starting to pick up a little bit, but we're out on a point, so may or may not hear this. Scoot back a little. But this is a good area. You can see where we come from. So that building there is the headquarters. Get it. And then we hiked up that canyon a little bit, then came around, and we've been coming around the foot of this trail right here, this peak right here. Come down on this side of that wash. And then the trail goes up this way, and the junction is right about there. And then you can see the Frijole Trail continuing on down the other side. This trail turns and comes up, and we're actually walking directly away from where we want to go, up this side till we get to this point, and then we turn and go back up. The Frijole Trail keeps going down, and you can see the Frijole Ranch right there. That used to be the headquarters back in the day, the Frijole Ranch. And they moved it over to Pine Canyon. It's kind of hazy out there. I stopped here to take a little break. I was hungry. And now I'm getting ready to head on up. If you can make it out, there's a steel pipe going up the canyon right up against the wall. The trail goes right by it, and we'll cross it several times, but when we get up to the top, we'll go by a big metal tank where they used to pump water up to that tank for the livestock they ran in here. There's a little madrone tree, pretty red. Here's a little bigger madrone tree, a pink skin. Oh, there's another one behind the rock. And a pipe down there. They blasted the trail out of solid rock. See, the leaves have pretty much already changed and fallen off the trees. I mean, it was really pretty in here a few weeks ago. That's pretty. When you're sheltered from the wind, it gets pretty warm. You get back in the wind, it gets kind of chilly, but all right, we're entering this rock overhang area. Hasn't been too long since my first break, but I think I'll stop in here anyway and take another break. So this is a pretty interesting part of the Bear Canyon Trail. And right down here is one of my favorite places to take a break, especially when it's hot. So since my other break, we've come half a mile and we've come up 600 feet. So 600 feet in half a mile, so because we still have quite a bit of climbing to go. I'm also doing pretty good on time, so I thought taking a long break, no sense killing myself. Okay, once I get to the top of this, it's pretty much mostly downhill. Like I drop down, then have to climb up again and then drop some more, but once you get to the top of Bear Canyon, the hard part's over. So making good time, feeling good, but I'm certainly starting to feel the pack weight. So I'm going to take another 10 minutes here and then get started on up. I started walking again at 12:09, and I'm going to try to be at the top of the Bear Canyon Trail at 1:30. Maybe a little optimistic, but gives me something to shoot for. Well, that's pretty. That unusual rock formation on the right. I always thought it looks kind of like Wizard of Oz flying monkey. It's a good landmark. Lets you know where you're at. You can see it from the other side coming up and you're underneath it. We're getting pretty close to level with it. And here in just a little while we'll be looking back down on it. So it stands out, it's hard to miss. There's another great view down the canyon. You can see the first part of the trail way down there. You can see my Wizard of Oz flying monkey landmark right there. And we're above it now. And it's so amazing how fast you climb above it, because we hadn't been that long. So we don't have much further to go. Again, this is a steep, hard trail, but for whatever reason it just feels like you gain so much so quick, it just seems worth it. The Juniper Trail that we're going to get onto here in a little bit is one of my favorite, if not my very favorite trail in the park. And it's there's really no trailhead for it. It's just a connector trail between the Bowl Trail and the Tejas Trail. So it's a destination trail. You got to be going there. So you wouldn't be on it for any other reason than basically just to go see it or to cut across like we're going to do. So it's real pretty. It's up in the mountains. It's in the forest. Not a lot of views, but you're in the trees. It's a pretty moderate trail. There's a little climbing, but it's a really pretty trail. There's the top. A little bit further to go. And we may be in the wind for the rest of the way. And the trail doesn't seem to be in too bad a shape from what it was 2 years ago. Maybe they've done some work on it. Ooh, even higher up the canyon. You see a little trail switchback right here. And way down there, you can see the Flying Monkey landmark. Getting harder to see. It's 12:58, so I think I'm going to beat my 1:30 time, which is good. You can see some metal right here, like an old tank maybe washed down the hill. Very close to the top now. $120. I don't know if I'm gonna make it by 1:30 or not. But I already passed one guy coming down, and I'm about to pass two more. I think they were just doing Hunter Peak as day hikes. But it's definitely cooled down a little, and the wind's picked up a little more. It's one of those, it feels like you're never going to get there, and all of a sudden it's just right there. So kind of a cool end to this trail. We're right at the top. Just one more switchback maybe. Probably be our last good look down Bear Canyon. Last look at the Flying Monkey. Really hard to make out now, but we are right near the top. Turn the corner and you're done. Clouds are a little darker than I wanted. It's not supposed to be any rain, but you never know. $1:31 right now, so I made it pretty much exactly 1:30. From here to where my campsite is 3 miles to go, and it's 1:30, so shouldn't be any problem getting there in daylight, but not in any hurry, but at the same time I can't be goofing around too much. Well, I just passed the trail runner wearing shorts and a t-shirt. It's freezing up here. The wind's howling. I bet he was cold. He turned and went down Bear Canyon. It's that tank I was talking about. And there's that steel pipe coming up. More of these pipes go down into the bowl area. That's what all this around here is called, the bowl. And we are going to drop down in it, hopefully get out of this wind a little bit. we can't get down out of this wind, I'm going to have to put some more clothes on or some gloves. My hands are numb. Here we're crossing one of those smaller pipes that distribute the water from that tank to different places here down here in the bowl. Yeah, we're still down in the bowl region, Guadalupe. It's just so pretty down in here, and definitely one of my favorite parts of the park. Still on the bowl trail. Blow down in the trail. Trail went the other way. I believe this is the very tip of the bowl. Right here is where the trail turns and starts back the other direction. So, came down from up there. We're going to make this turn, and it's going to go up out this way. It shouldn't be much further to the Juniper turnoff. Oh, some big old thorns. Bowl continues on to the left, and we're going to take this, the Juniper Trail. Trail is mostly dirt, relatively flat, both just unusual for the Guadalupes. Down in with the trees and little drainage areas, and it's just a special place down in here. It just screams West Texas. We're climbing a little bit now. Oh, another tank. This might be the high point. I believe that's Guadalupe Peak, highest in the state. It's pretty down there. On this side, it got a little windy. But the sun came out. That was a dark cloud, but I hope there's no rain. One thing to be cold and dry is a whole other issue to be cold and wet. The sun feels good. Come on, sun, cook. Oh, feels good. So this trail has a little bit of everything. Walk through the woods, traverse on the side of a slope, views of mountains, views of the forest. Yeah, and this is, in my opinion, the best trail in the park, the Juniper Trail. And chances are you're going to have it to yourself. So, highly recommend it. You just got to work to get here. Oh, look at that. I think that tall one out there, the farthest one you can see, is Bush Mountain, which is the second highest in the state. So I was told there's a 70-year-old park ranger up here, and she was going to do this trail today, and they thought I might run into her. I believe her name was Pam, and she's sort of famous because she was in a movie, either the movie about her or she was in the movie, but called Infinite Storm. I've never seen it, never heard of it. I'm going to look it up when I get back. Infinite Storm. It's about a rescue, I guess, in a park, and she was one of the rangers that took part in that rescue. So I was hoping to meet her. In fact, the ranger that gave me my permit actually wrote Infinite Storm on there. So if I did run into her and she checked my permit, she would see it. Oh, that tree toppled over. Pinon pine, not pinon, ponderosa. Ooh, there's a big tree there. It's like a big alligator juniper. It's real pretty. Yeah, I don't know if I said this, but I really like this trail. Those red trees, red leaves. That's pretty. Right now, I think I'm starting to climb up to the Tejas Trail because it's really not much further up here. Run out of gas. Looks like we may top out right up here and then drop down into the drainage where I think the Tejas Trail is. Right down there's the junction. So, we've made it the 2 miles across the Juniper Trail, joining up with the Tejas Trail. And we're going to turn right, which takes us down to the campground, the Tejas campsite. So it's about a 1/4 mile. But then tomorrow we will be on the Tejas Trail all the way. So we'll come back up this way, past this junction, and then just keep going up that way, all the way, you know, all the way back to Pine Springs and the parking lot. It's never fun to walk in the creek, but it's even less fun when you're at the end of your day and your knees are sore. more of that pipe coming down here. No telling how many tanks they had down in this place. They ran water to. And I don't know if they were running cattle or sheep. It sure seems like a lot of work to get that steel pipe up here and ran. But we are very close. Get to camp, get everything set up, get ready for a cold night, I believe. But down in here, there's no wind blowing. And that is really pretty, looking through there. All those leaves. And the trail went this way. Now we're going to cross again. Those leaves are pretty, but they kind of hide the rocks. So you step down every once in a while thinking it's solid and it's not. Well, this looks like the turnoff to the Tejas campsites. There's 5 sites here. When I booked it, there was 4 left. So there may be somebody up here, I don't know. I'll go up there and poke around and see, and then try to pick the best site. There's a funny thing about this campsite, or at least for me anyway, is when I was about 20 years old, my dad and I and 2 other guys hiked the Tejas Trail from Dog Canyon all the way to Pine Springs. But I remember passing this sign in this campsite and thought, someday I want to camp here. And I truly intended to come back here. But that was over 30 years ago, and this is the first time I've been back to this spot. As many times as I've been to Guadalupe's, I've never been back to here, even though this is probably the campsite I most wanted to camp at. But I'm here now. So it's not bad. I think I'll drop the pack and stuff and then scout the others. I guess this is the one to beat. I hate that there's dead trees around. I thought maybe them look like they're in danger of falling. 7.5 miles, 2,700 feet total up and down, and 5 hours and 31 minutes. I'm going to pause it and I'll start it again when I leave tomorrow, if I remember. I don't know if that's coming through, but the blue is what we did today. And the red is what we'll be doing tomorrow. There's a tank down here. I didn't know that was here. Make that out. Where the cows could get water. Camp up the hill there. Sun's still up, but it went behind the hill. So the temperature has started to drop. It's almost 5 o'clock, but that's Central Time. So it's only 4 o'clock here Mountain Time. So I'm actually got an hour more daylight than I was counting on. Forgot to do the math. I mentioned earlier, about the some of the regulations in the park and that there might be some changes. Because I don't know if you remember last year, a climber died here in the park, and his brother got stranded, and they had to helicopter rescue the guys out. One of the things the parks did because of that accident was here in Guadalupe's is they made it illegal to go off trail without a permit. So you have to get an off-trail permit, and which, you know, I really don't even have a problem with that, and I wouldn't even have too big a problem with a small fee, even if they wanted to. But the fee to get that off-trail permit is $150. You got to pay if you want to climb El Capitan today, you got to pay a $150 fee to apply for a permit, and there's no guarantee you'll get the permit. And but I talked to 3 different rangers today. The guy that passed those rules is no longer here. The superintendent has moved on, I guess, to bigger and better things. And they are hopeful that when they get a new superintendent, no one has been assigned yet, but they are hopeful that that new superintendent lifts that restriction. So that would be nice to just have the park back like it's supposed to be. All right, so starting dinner. Tonight we're having chicken Alfredo pasta. Never tried it. I'll let you know what I think. And then if I decide to, for dessert, I've got Packet Gourmet pumpkin cheesecake. Thanksgiving was 2 days ago, so pumpkin cheesecake kind of fits the season. Got the water on the bowl and should be ready to eat here in about 15-20 minutes. Well, I guess it's good I brought extra water, because for the first time in my backpacking career, I knocked the water off and lost the cup full of water that was almost ready to boil. I kicked this rock and it hit that rock and it went boom. So, live and learn. Well, dinner's ready. Looks really good. I'll try a bite here. It's still pretty hot. That is really good. Very cheesy. White chicken with pasta noodles and an Alfredo sauce. So, yeah, that one's really good. I'm going to eat dinner and then I'll probably... Temperature's dropping. It's not bad though. It's down to about 40. So, but I have a feeling it's fixing to start because now the sun's really going down. And probably going to end up crawling in the tent here pretty quick because I've already put another coat on and I don't have any more clothes to put on. So, I may crawl into that 15-degree bag here in a minute. And so one of the things about hiking in the winter, you know, because it gets dark at 6 o'clock, and then the sun doesn't rise till 7, so you know you got 13 hours of darkness, short days, long nights. So I usually bring movies on a phone. I'll download TV shows or a movie to my phone and watch it in the tent. Well, I went ahead and bit the bullet to this trip, and I brought the whole iPad, so it added a little weight to the pack, but I thought it'd be worthwhile because I'm going to be stuck in the tent for a lot longer. Anyway, I'm going to finish dinner and call it a night. I don't know if you can see it, but there's an owl in that tree. He turns around and looks, his eyes glow. You can see it, the guy lines all reflect. That's pretty cool. I got out and adjusted all the tension lines because they had them too far out and they were letting air in underneath, and the wind hasn't gotten as bad as it was supposed to be yet, but for a little while there it did blow, and it was blowing inside the tent. So I also moved my backpack up against the tent to block the direction of the wind. But let's see here, 39. They were saying 22 would be the low tonight. I'm hoping it doesn't get that cold. I can still hear some wind up in the tops of the trees and up on the ridge. We're pretty far down, so hopefully not as cold as they were expecting. Tent did really well. The only thing is it got a little windy last night, but only for an hour or so. And it's pretty well ventilated. So I closed off all those vents. And so when I woke up this morning, the tent was full of condensation. So probably wouldn't have been as bad if I'd have left those vents open, but the wind was cold, so I sealed them up as best I could. But other than that, did okay. The 15-degree quilt did fine. I never got cold. In fact, I took off a fleece layer because I was too warm. But slept like I always do in a tent, about 30 minutes at a time. So I did have something kind of funny happen. I brought an iPad. I was watching a movie, and I had it leaning up against the wall of the tent, and I was laying on my side watching this movie, and I fell asleep, which is what I was hoping would happen. But I woke up, and the movie was still going, and it was a scene where the camera was in tight on a man talking to someone, and so I woke up and I'm staring this guy in the face. So I glanced to my right and I'm looking out the vent of the tent, and I can see the forest floor and the trees out behind me. And I look back and that guy still stared at me, and for a brief instant I really thought someone had lifted up my tent fly and was looking in at me under the fly of the tent. So a little spooky, but more funny than anything. But I'm going to start packing up. I've already had some hot chocolate, try to warm up. May do some oatmeal and finish packing up the tent and start the hike out of here. Right, well, I got camp all packed away. And got my water bottles over there. I've got 2.5 liters left, so I'm probably going to ditch a full liter of water here pretty quick. May drink a lot of it, but I'm not going to carry it all out of here. So carried a liter more than I needed up the mountain, but that's okay. I hate running out. This campsite was really nice. They're not numbered, so I don't know which one it was, other than that's the main trail right there. So if you just stay on the main trail, it'll dead end into this campsite, and there are 2 others right here close together. There's one right there, and then there's one just right up there. So if there are other people here, you might have people close to you. But kind of what sold me on this one was this little area right here that had a bunch of rocks already set up for a kitchen. So sat on the big rock, cooked on the smaller rock, and used the other rocks to hold my stuff. So worked out pretty good. It's 8:20 and it's now 31 degrees. So it's warming up a little, sun's up. I'm going to head out. I've got probably 2 miles before we get to what's Pine Top, where the Tejas Trail starts down Pine Canyon. So probably hike over there and then take a quick little break. And another great thing about winter camping is that chocolate doesn't melt. Not only does it not melt, but this thing is frozen solid. So that is going to be amazing here in a couple of miles when I'm ready to take a break. So we're fixing to hit the trail, and I'll see you along the way. I'm back to the Juniper Trail junction on the Tejas Trail. Hiking out. It only took about 5 minutes to get back to here, but it's been steadily climbing to get here into Pine Canyon. I don't know what it is about day 2. Climbing is so much harder than it was on day 1, but it's a struggle. We're getting there. There's a heck of a view looking back up the canyon we just walked up. Our campsite was probably just at the foot of that farthest hill. And we just came up the creek pretty much all the way to just right down in here somewhere. And we've been switchbacking up for a little while now. I think we're about to reach the top, or at least top of this portion. Yeah, we still got a ways to go too. So we're probably going to drop back down. Then we may have to climb back up again. Anytime you're in the Guadalupes and you're on a ridge, the trail just gets really rocky. I guess all the dirt washes down the sides and just leaves the rock. Huh. What causes that? Here's the pine top, or the top of the Tejas Trail, where it peaks up from the front side. So this is the bowl trail. It goes and it climbs, and you can do the loop, the bowl loop, and you can also summit Hunter Peak from there. The Tejas Trail continues that way and goes down to Pine Springs. And then this is the Bush Mountain Trail. It goes all the way to Bush Mountain, which is the second highest in the state. And it also, the Pine Top Campground is a 1/4 mile up this way. So, and there's a place to tie up your horses. And wow, my phone just went off like crazy, so must have cell service here. So all we have to do is get down there, almost to the highway. It's 11:30. I think it's 3.4 miles, so I'll see how long it takes to get back to the car. Well, you can see the trail we just came down. Still got a long way to go, but it made it. This Tejas Trail, this is just not, it's just a slog. It just seems like it takes forever. So we came all the way to that point, and then we turned and come back to here. Now we're going to walk out to the point again and turn back. It seems like it takes forever. And then you turn the corner and you think, all right, I'm going to turn this corner and I'm going to be in the final part of the canyon. And you're not. You're still way up in the air, and you still got a long way to go to the parking lot. So, point where you can kind of see around the corner. Just came down all that, get to this point, and this is where you're kind of excited. You're going to turn a corner, and you're going to be able to look down the canyon and see the trailhead and see how much further you have to go. And you come to the corner, and this is what you see: another ridge in your way. Not near as bad as the other one, but still can't see. You can barely see the parking lot down there, but still way up in the air, still a long way to go. And there's a bunch going across right there. I knew those were here, but I've never seen them. There's 5 in that group. So cool. 21 in that group. See any more coming up from below. Okay, stop right there. Stop right there. Wow, look at all of them. Well, that is cool. Two guys coming up, they were stopped taking pictures too, so. Alright, I gotta get down. So there's the last look at those sheep, and then if you look down here further, I mean, right there, that's kind of the beginning of the Devil's Hall area. If you hike back up to it, you go through that little narrow spot between those two rock walls. But two guys I passed, they said the ranger said this is where they hang out, so if you want to see them, come up to Tejas Trail and you probably have a pretty good chance of seeing them. Like I say, I counted 26 and that guy said he counted 25, so quite a big herd in here. So we're finally coming around a bend where I think we can see the rest of the trail. See where we have to go. And there it is. So, yep. Took quite a ways to go. You can see the parking lot down there. And then you can see the headquarters parking lot. That's where my truck is. So not only do I got to get to the trailhead, I then got to go another quarter mile. Our trail's going to go to the left, skirt around this, and do a really kind of high traverse, a couple of switchbacks maybe, and then drop down, and you can kind of see the trail there. If you can see those two big boulders there, the trail's going to go right between them, and then it just kind of stays above the creek almost all the way, and then crosses the creek, well, where we did yesterday. My goal was to be at my car at 1 o'clock. It's 12:57 right now, so probably not going to make that, but I'm not going to be too far off. And I didn't factor in 20 minutes of staring at sheep. Here we're going between those two rocks that we saw from way up there. One of the few places you can get in some shade on a hot sunny day on this trail. We're back down to this dry creek, and you can see some buildings and cars in the parking lot. That's the trailhead. That's pretty much the end of this trip, so had a great time, and see you next time.